I refuse to operate under the pretense of having my shit together, just as a default state of being. I want you to know that. I just want to make that abundantly clear.
Look, we've lived together for over 2 years now, and we've owned a hammer this whole time.
We've never had to purchase a hammer because we're men, and we have always had a hammer. And this isn't like a euphemism or anything. This is
an actual physical hammer that you would use.
Yep.
To beat nails into
well.
To smack nails.
I would not like to beat.
To pound nails. You know, they say that in life, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I don't think that is the idiom, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not really good at idioms, I'm going to be honest.
This is a reference. For one, we're referencing a hammer bit that no one but us gets. So there's that. But we're kind of just glossing over a big thing. We've been podcasting for a year.
1 year now.
An entire singular calendar year of podcasting. Was it technically last podcast?
We're not going to tell anybody.
I mean, we needed to get through the year, but you don't celebrate.
No.
You don't celebrate your first birthday like during your first year. You celebrate it after you've completed your first year.
Right. No one's calling and saying that somebody that's 11 months and 30 days old is a year old.
No, not at all. Not at all. But we are 1 year old. Just some things that 1-year-olds start to... I'm totally making this up. I didn't look this up at all. But some things that 1-year-olds can start to do. As a podcast, we can now begin to walk unassisted.
Sure.
We are starting to eat semi-solid / partially solid foods.
Yeah.
As a podcast.
Definitely have grip strength enough to hold small objects. Maybe
a couple words.
Yeah.
Can't really form sentences.
Probably not.
But a mama... A dada, D&D, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe an MTG.
And maybe an MTNG.
If our parents were thinking about our safety, they might have already taught us how to swim by throwing us into a pool as an infant.
You know, you joke about that. That's quite literally how mine and my family has learned to swim. So
that is an entire thing. Like a lot of people do these days, is because especially if like they have pools, you don't want your kid to drown in your pool by accident. That was a big thing in like the 70s.
You want them to drown in your pool on purpose.
Right. You have to. You want your hands in that act of. Don't drown your children, kids.
You don't want fingerprint evidence per se, but you want
boot print evidence.
I mean, a sack of oranges doesn't leave a bruise. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, welcome to the Dungeon Bros podcast. I'm Connor,
and I'm Sam,
and we are not brothers.
Nor are we in a dungeon,
but we are collectively a year old now.
And it is a little dark in here.
It's always dark in here. But this particular episode of the podcast is probably going to be a bit more focused than our regular fare, just because like the only news stories that seemed like the big ones to talk about are all related to the same kind of thing.
Yep.
But first, we talked a bit about the Dragonlance last week.
We did. It's coming out here soon.
Coming out on December 6th. My brother and father, as I have mentioned before, are readers of the Dragonlance and have been trying to get me to read the Dragonlance for time immemorial.
Mm-hmm.
I had some correspondence with both my brother and father, and around Christmas time, possibly between the week between Christmas and New Year's, that we all love as we can do nothing.
Yes, it's a great time of year.
I might begin a Shadow of the Dragon Queen campaign with my brother, my father, my soon-to-be stepbrother-in-law, which is a string of modifiers.
A lot of adjectives.
My stepsister and my sister, possibly. So, yeah. That's another wrinkle in this whole thing.
I find it... I know a lot of people do it where they play D&D with their families, and I know a lot of parents, especially, who grew up on D&D are... It's not something I would do with my family.
I like my family, and my family are. I want no if they enter butts about this. My family are a bunch of fucking nerds. Oh. I mean, my brother has his Star Wars podcast, the Star Wars Friends. If you are interested in that, they've had a podcast for several years now. My sister is an avid Harry Potter fan. My dad, sort of a jack of all trades. He was a comic book reader for many years. Lord of the Rings, fantasy, Dragonlance, Game of Thrones. He was reading Game of Thrones before the show, that kind of stuff. So I wasn't worried that like, oh, my family's gonna be like, why the fuck are you doing that? Go like throw a football outside or something, touch grass. I was never worried about that. I was more worried, like, are they actually interested in playing this? Or are they just like, oh, that's neat, and then continue on their lives? But
well, again, I like my family as well, but they're the more of the, that's neat, do it over there.
To be fair, we're all kind of in agreement that it's just a nice excuse to see each other once a month. As opposed to the, like, 6-7 times a year. Now it'll be, like, 20 total, so...
I mean, that's also the reason we do this podcast, is just to sit down and hang out and talk about D&D.
Of course. One last update before we get into the results of last week's D&D draft.
Ooh, that's where we're doing it? We're calling it now? D&D draft?
That's what I'm going to call it.
All right.
We announced that with some updates to the Discord, minor things. Some new emojis and stuff that we talked about that last week. A new moderator with DK Alexander. We talked about that last week. I've updated the roles a little bit. I've added some little bling bling, and I've created I've customized the specialty server booster role, which has been assigned to a friend of the show, Scyther, who has boosted our server because he is just a good old boy. But yes, Scyther has boosted the server because he is an OG, and he is now respected as server royalty.
There we go.
As he should be.
If you would like to be dub for us.
Yes.
And we'll dub you royalty.
Indeed. Now, you can join our Discord. It's free and open to everyone. There's people that are trying to run games all the time with varying amounts of consistency.
Sure.
But it's free for everyone to join. You can do Linktree in the bio of all our social medias and all of that. Now, let's get to the draft.
The draft.
Last week we were drafting bands, a topic that both you and I were a bit skeptical
of. A little
of.
outside of our comfort zone.
Yes, and I believe that this vote was the closest that it has been thus far.
I think so, yeah.
To reiterate, Sam's draft last week was Queen, Elvis Presley, Metallica, Post Malone, and Weird Al Yankovic, whereas my team was the Beatles, the Foo Fighters, Taylor Swift, the Bare Naked Ladies, and the Childish Gambino. Mm-hmm. I was offended that I lost the board game draft. Yeah. I think that's a crock of shit. I objectively had the better team.
Again, I was playing to the audience there.
And as was the obvious case, I demolished you in the candy draft.
Again, you got Reese's.
Yes.
It was the roll of the die.
It was, and I won. But
on initiative.
This is our closest result yet, 60-40. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, Samuel.
Thank you.
Very well done. In retrospect, fair. That's fair. I'm okay with not winning that one. That one that you had a solid top 3, so I can respect that. We replaced bands with, I believe, bar drinks.
Yes, I think that was the one that ended up making its way into the table.
So, as if you are not familiar with the draft, we have a D20 table of various topics that we will roll upon, and we will also be rolling initiative for the first overall draft pick. We will be picking 5 things within that subject. And whoever has the better team of 5 things, as voted on by the audience on our Instagram page, which we post when the podcast goes live on Wednesdays. Now, we have the D&D Magic the Gathering non-spin down dice because it's a D&D dice. So let's see which topic we got today. 7.
That is fruit.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna fucking demolish it. All right. And now we go rollsies for initiative. 15.
5.
Yes.
Okay.
Fuck yeah. All right. Number 1 overall pick in this draft. I could go one of 2 ways. We've talked before about the head sense and the heart sense.
Yes.
As presented by Nori in The Rings of Power. I'm going to go with my heart sense a little bit here instead of my head sense. I'm going with the strawberry.
Ooh, the strawberry.
The strawberry is in my mind, the apex predator of fruits. The apex predator of fruits. There's many other popular ones. The strawberry is seasonal. Even when it is out of season, it is still a popular choice. It's got its own pie, as many fruits do.
True.
It's got it can be paired with many other fruits in a smoothie. It is one of the few fruits that I personally enjoy eating just by itself. A versatile fruit, a delicious fruit, a fruit that is so delicious, in fact, that it is one of the core 3 main flavors of ice cream. The vanilla, the chocolate, and the strawberry as the tertiary option of the core pillars of ice cream. So, number 1 overall picked, the draft. Sam.
All right. I am going to go not necessarily with a highly flavorful fruit here. I'm instead going to go for the basis of just so many things, the banana.
The banana.
While you can flavor your ice cream, there are many people who make a banana ice cream using banana instead of cream.
Yeah, the non-dairy losers of the world.
The non-dairy people, we unite under the banner of banana.
I call you losers simply because Sam cannot consume dairy.
I cannot. It hurts my belly.
But the banana, that's a solid pick. Phallic,
yeah.
very popular with our primate brethren.
Also very popular with people who do exercise.
Indeed. Oh my gosh.
Good way to recharge after a race.
A banana bread when they
love
go
a banana
bit mushy.
bread. Yeah.
I mean, that's a solid pick. I think there's really 3 fruits in my mind that could have all been number 1 picks. The third one being, of course, my second overall pick, and that is the apple.
That's going to be my second overall pick. Yeah.
Of course.
It's a good one.
Of course. Popular amongst the children, often offered as a side at fast food restaurants as sliced apples for the children as the healthy option. The apple pie, the apple crisp, the apple butter.
Oh, yeah.
The apple juice.
Oh, the classic, the apple juice.
How many random inventions have there been made to like peel a spiral of apple skin off?
Just so many.
The bobbing for apples, the caramel apple, the Apple Jacks. Maybe not the Apple Jacks as much, but the apple is again a very versatile fruit, very popular with the fall flavors of cinnamon and brown sugar. And
also one of like the few fruits that people easily gravitate to when using meat, such as pork.
Oh my gosh. An apple chutney.
Yeah.
A lovely chutney of apple. I mean,
pork,
the apple sauce. The apple sauce.
Ooh, the apple sauce. The apple sauce, if you will. A very versatile fruit. I think we have clearly covered the top 3 options. Yes.
Now,
yes.
Where are we going to end up, Sam?
I have 2 thoughts here, and I think I am going to go with the summertime classic of the watermelon.
Ooh, the watermelon.
You may be in a relationship, but I'm never alone. What keeps me company is watermelon.
Watermelon, indeed. I had a friend in college, Alexis, who was a very big fan of the watermelon vines and would quote them endlessly every single day.
They're a classic.
They're a classic of that era of the internet for sure. But the watermelon, this may be contentious for me, coming from me. Not a fan of the watermelon.
That's okay.
It's I believe an overrated fruit, but I recognize its popularity.
I think a lot of the time the issue is that the fruit itself is not. A lot of people don't know how to pick a good watermelon, and so a lot of people just spend their lives eating bad watermelon. But it is also one of the most popular fruits to stick full bottles of liquor in.
Yeah, that's a fun one. There's also I will give you credit for a wonderful bit from the not late but still great Jerry Seinfeld. One of his great comedic bits about the grocery store. He goes on a tangent about the watermelon and how the invention of the seedless watermelon makes very little sense, and how they must have the melons like humping now or something to reproduce the seedless watermelons. A solid pick. Something that is notably absent from both of our lists right now, and really, I was surprised you didn't go with one of the many citrus options.
That was another option I was thinking of.
The citrus is very underrepresented in our list right now, so I'm going with the citrus choice. Pure value. purely for the value. The lemon.
The lemon. Okay. Okay.
Now, am I more partial to the orange in my citrus? Yes. Yes, I am. But the lemon is where you're getting the real value here. Simply, its versatility in the cooking.
Yes.
The lemon peel, the zest, the oils, the effervescence. You can use it as a garnish in many a cocktail. It's the base of a mixer portion of many cocktails. Wonderful. And the lemonade.
True.
Lemonade, a classic staple of the American dream. The lemonade stand, a crisp, refreshing beverage on a warm summer's day.
A warm summer's eve.
The lemon is a year-round fruit. It is a versatile fruit, a fruit that is used to accent some of the more popular fruits. The apple pie is much better with a little bit of that lemon juice in there, partially to help keep the apples from browning.
True.
But fight off the scurvy.
You gotta fight off the scurvy.
You're constantly in fear of the scurvy, as you should be.
Yes. So if you haven't eaten a citrus fruit in about 3 years, you might have scurvy.
Yes. But the lemon is my third overall draft pick.
Okay. Well, I am going to then. I'm gonna go with its partner in crime, the lime. The lime.
That's a solid pick.
It's a great coastal, like especially if you go to the southern coasts and the western coast of the United States, you'll find a lot of things like beers are made with limes, many vodkas infused with limes. But then you got like the key lime pie.
The margarita.
The margarita with salt all around that rim.
Now, obviously, the coalescence of the two with the lemon lime various sodas is popular. Now, when you're walking down the grocery store aisle, you're like, oh man, I've got
the singular aisle of the grocery store.
Exactly. the only one, the singular. You've got your cart full of things, and at the end, as you do at grocery shopping, you end with the produce. You never start with the produce.
Don't want to crush it.
No, I'm mostly being facetious, but
also stores are meant so that you turn right and go over. Anyway,
fair. You've got your cart filled up. Maybe you're using one of the new wave carts where you can like scan the contents of it. If you're like keeping a tally, like maybe you're not as well off as some other people that are shopping in this grocery store. You see someone more affluent, they go up and they grab both the limes and the lemons.
Yeah.
Because they can just afford that. Now, you've got $2 of headroom with your budget right now, and you need a citrus fruit. Is there anyone really going to be picking the lime over the lemon in that situation? I would argue not.
I mean, it depends on if you're a college student, probably, because you're going to want that lime for your Coronas,
of course,
or your margaritas, like we mentioned. I think
wedge for the tequila shot.
Exactly. But I think there's a lot of people going to go for the lemon, depending on what your uses are.
The lemon, I think, would be the deciding factor between the two.
Personally, I also enjoy a lemon over a lime, but still, you got the lemon first due to initiative.
I will also be getting the orange.
Yep,
the last of the core citrus fruits.
The core three, the big three.
The big three citrus. Obviously, the orange juice, the orange wedge as well. I recently saw a TikTok for the peeling of the orange. One of the hardest parts of eating the orange is the peeling of the orange, as we're well aware of that.
Sure.
And
unless you're a man and just eat the entire thing.
I mean, that's an option. that's a way to do it. But I found two interesting ways to quote unquote peel an orange. Now, when you're juicing a citrus, particularly the limes and lemons, you have the little handheld thing that you put it in, and then you crush it, and it basically inverts the skin and crushes it. If you were to cut an orange in half, you can pop that thing open, and it separates along the various membranes, and then you can just easily peel off each individual wedge without having to slowly peel out the rind all the way around. You can also chop off the ends where like the stem and the butthole are.
Yeah.
Just chop off the stem hole and the butthole. You cut those off, and then you do like one nice little slit along the remaining peel, and then you can just kind of roll it out like a scroll, and then you got all these little wedges in a nice little line. Much better than the standard practice of just peeling off little chunks of the rind as you go. Not to mention the orange juice, not to mention the
breakfast staple.
The breakfast staple, the cousin of the orange, the grapefruit. a wonderful technique. Don't look that up, kids.
No.
The orange flavored candy, I would argue, one of the better
True.
candy flavorings for the fruit candies.
Depending on the candy itself. There are some that you're like, I would rather have the lime flavor.
Of course. Fair. Well, and I'm sure people are screaming about the cherry. What about the cherry? What about the red? It's solid. It's decidedly second fiddle.
Indeed.
To the orange. Samuel. Your
Yes.
fourth overall pick.
Ooh, fourth overall pick. Okay, let's see. So far, I've got banana, watermelon, lime. I guess I'm gonna go with the grape. Grape. You know, it's one of those that it's an easy side for a child's lunch. The grape flavor often is fake, is though numerous in suckers and medicines.
And personally, not a fan of that artificial grape flavoring myself. The raisin. I could do the raisin.
Ugh.
I like it.
Raisins are horrible.
I'm okay with the raisin.
Raisins are the worst. One of the top 5 worst foods ever.
You also hate coconut, so
Coconut is also one of the top. Is the number 1 top worst food ever.
And the green bean.
Number 2 on the worst top foods ever.
His opinions are bad. I'm well
My
aware
opinions are of the people.
Now this is a bit of a sly pick because obviously you can do the fun like Roman emperor feed me the grapes thing,
Sure,
which is always a fun
absolutely.
bit. But the sly little like subtext here, I'm not sure if you've factored this in, is the wine.
Yes,
The fermented, juiced grape. It's a good pick. That's a value pick. It's a very good value. I respect that pick. I would not pick the grape personally, but I respect that pick. But since we're on the subject of value,
Okay. Ooh, this is your 5th pick, and you're going
my last pick, and one that I was wondering if or when it would be coming off the board, and yet here we are at the end of our draft, the final round, and it is still there. That's the cherry. The cherry is, for one, a flavor that, as we mentioned previously, very popular with the fruit candies. Popular garnish for the cocktails.
Yes.
The superior form of the fruit cup that you would buy for children is the one that includes the cherry,
the extra cherry,
the fruit cocktail.
Yes.
The grenadine.
Grenadine is actually pomegranate.
What?
Yeah. Grenadine is pomegranate syrup.
If you have ingredients. How dare you? I'm just on images. I'm looking at bottles. This one's got some fucking raspberries on it.
Grenadine is traditionally made from pomegranate.
That's crock shit.
Grenadine is a commonly used non-alcoholic bar syrup characterized by its deep red color. Pomegranate, man.
But like the On the House brand, the one that everybody has got a fucking cherry on it.
I don't know what to tell you.
How dare they? How dare they? I still go with the cherry.
That's absolutely
the cherry,
an acceptable answer.
Tangent aside.
I was gonna say, I think were you to rebuke your statement and change it to pomegranate, that would be weird.
I would for one, I would never select the pomegranate for this list. How dare you?
The pomegranate would be a weird choice for this list.
I am not a human that has periods, so I don't have to worry about the pomegranate.
Sometimes you say things.
I say things. I do say things, but pure value with the cherry at a 5th round slot. This is a 3rd round caliber fruit I'm getting for a 5th round pick. It's a solid option. Sam, your final pick.
My final, and I'm going to go with my heart here because I had them fresh from the yard because we grew them when I was growing up. But the raspberry.
The raspberry. Of course. Another solid option. A popular blue flavoring.
Yes.
The raspberry.
Even though they come in varieties of black and red.
Yes. Classic color combination that makes blue. Black and red.
Mm-hmm. It's known.
Of course. They call that color combination in Magic Raspberry.
They call it Raktos.
Close enough. Close enough.
Kinda.
So, the final teams, my team, the strawberry, the apple, the lemon, the orange, and the cherry. Sam's draft team, the banana, the watermelon, the lime, the grape, and the raspberry. Those are solid lineups.
I feel like
We're missing a couple big ones here, I feel.
and Hale says Raktos-berry.
Raktusberry.
I feel like we've created two different like mini bags of jelly bellies or jelly beans.
Yes.
And it's like
yes.
mine's kind of the tropical and yours is the
Mine's like the fruit punch.
The fruit punch, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, it really is. That's fascinating. If we were to collect our flavors together, you would be the tropical variety of the candy, and I would be the fruit punch variety of the candy for sure. Fascinating. Now, I do enjoy a fruit punch.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
I do enjoy punching a fruit as well.
I haven't tried that.
We got some
I'm good.
fruit.
I'm good to not do that. But I'm good to not do that. Honorable mentions here. Honorable mentions. These are some heart choices from me. The mango.
Ugh.
I love a mango. Ooh, I love a mango.
Not a big fan.
How dare you? The pear.
Okay.
I like a pear.
Pear matches nicely with the apple.
I enjoy a pear. The blueberry.
I do like a blueberry. There are a lot of people who don't like the blueberry and also claim that it is not actually blue.
Now, it's purple. But purplish blue. It's halvesies. It depends on the time of year.
True.
The blueberry I would never select for this list because as a fruit in and of itself, I would never prefer to eat a blueberry raw versus a blueberry cooked into something else. Personally.
Fair.
Personally.
I do like a blueberry Pop-Tart.
Now, some things that I'm very pleased did not make the list. The honeydew. All varietals of the melon. If you're getting a fruit tray for a party and you get the fucking melon tray, just don't go.
Or if there's a cantaloupe in the rest of the fruit salad, it just tastes like cantaloupe.
The reason they do that is because they're trying to liquidate the cantaloupe stock, obviously, because no one wants to fucking eat that shit. Clearly,
Agreed.
and of course we could have gone with a fun pick, the passion fruit, the dragon fruit.
See, the dragon fruit, while neat looking, has no flavor.
That's true. So, those are the drafts. They will be up on the Instagram for you to vote upon. And hopefully the indignation of week one is properly remedied after this selection.
We'll see.
Now, what do we want? Do we have any... if you want to give us a suggestion in the TikTok live chat for what to replace the fruits category with, you're more than welcome to. Of course, we have some things such as the superpowers, the breakfast foods, the vegetables, the D&D monsters, not pets. Pets is its own thing. Articles of clothing, drinks to order at a bar. Those are already on. That's already on the table. Whiskeys. We are whiskey fans in and of ourselves. Medicines. That's a weird one. Medicines is a weird one.
We wouldn't actually be rating them on how well we like those medicines. We'd just be ranking them on the names of the medicines.
Maybe. Months. That's another weird one, but I like it.
It's a very limited selection.
Very limited.
We'd be leaving
12.
2 months out.
And I feel like you might be able to guess which two.
Yeah.
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 August is not going to make the list. August would not make my list in a million years. But those are some of the options. Do we have any suggestions in chat?
None yet, but we have quite a bit of we have quite a few more things to talk about this podcast, and
We'll address this at the
be
end.
added in later.
We'll address this at the end. Of course, the main topic of today is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Several new bits of information. The first one, of course, the most important thing we should lead with, it, along with the Paramount production of Scream 6, have had their release dates flipped around a little bit. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves is going to be delayed about a month to March 31st, 2023, replacing that date that was previously held by Scream 6, and Scream 6 will now be coming out on March 10th.
Yep.
Now, the comedy inherent in the D&D movie being like, let's do this next month, guys.
Yeah.
It's not lost upon me.
Hey guys, I can't make it today. Damn it.
Now, this is the second delay that the D&D movie has experienced. It was supposed to release at the end of 2022 originally, and then once the trailer came out, I believe, is when they announced that it would be in March of 2023 instead. Now, delays, of course, are... I'll wait for the siren to pass. It'd be really awkward if this wasn't picked up on the mics. Then
We're just sitting there quietly.
We just stopped for nothing. That's unfortunate. But as is the case with movies and games, delays are never fun.
No. But,
silver lining, delays rarely, if ever, make the end result worse.
Yes. Yeah. This one sounds just more like a executive order of we're going to change things around to fit timings, as opposed to we're fucking down to the deadline and still not done yet.
There's a bit of that. Maybe they don't really give a great reason other than just like their movie slate. But I also I would imagine that D&D Honor Among Thieves would benefit from another 2 weeks of CGI polishing a lot more than Scream 6 would.
Probably, yeah.
As well. It's going to have a ton of CGI, a lot of computer-generated stuff, a lot of special effects.
You're telling me they're not bringing in a live owlbear for that scene?
They're endangered, Samuel.
They're endangering somebody by not doing that.
Fair. But, again, the movie has been delayed March 31st. We'll be very excited. We will be going to see that movie. Mm-hmm. Perhaps, maybe... Now, I'm calling an audible here. Perhaps,
maybe.
You and I could plan... I know we're bad at those.
We're really bad at planning.
We can plan on doing like a TikTok live in the car talking about D&D on the way to the movie, and then lead in, and then of course end the live so that we don't broadcast the movie.
Yes,
on the internet. But that would be a fun thing to like hang out with people that are also maybe going to see the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I would love to see it the night it releases.
That'd be cool.
If at all possible. That would be wonderful.
I mean, we can plan for that.
We can do our best.
We can put it on the calendar.
We can.
So, quick, somebody send us a calendar, and we'll put it on there.
Of course.
Anyway,
the other two Honor Among Thieves story. There is a prequel to D&D Honor Among Thieves, and it will be in a comic book form published by IDW sometime in February of 2023 in the lead up to Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. It is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, The Feast of the Moon, prequel from writers Jeremy Lambert and Ellen Boner. Boener. I don't know how else you want me to pronounce that.
Fair enough.
And artists Eduardo Ferragato and Guillermo Sana. Released approximately 1 month before the live-action film, Feast of the Moon introduces readers to two characters featured in the movie as they set off on a mission to stand against a dictatorial ruler. Love me a prequel comic.
Sure.
Love a prequel comic.
And I do like that it is prequel. It is actually coming out before the movie.
Indeed. That is true. That is true. If you want to read some details of the premise of the comic, I don't want to get into spoilers here, but it does seem to tie in quite closely with the movie. Get a bit of an introduction to the party and some other factions and characters around, as the Forgotten Realms, a vast realm.
Indeed.
A vast realm with many moving parts. And the movie is only going to be able to touch on so much. Love a prequel comic. I love what Critical Role did, as we always bring up the Critical Roles.
We do.
The prequel series of comics, the Mighty Nine Origins, as well as the Vox Machina Origins, are all wonderful, wonderful little self-contained comics. I am particularly fond of the Caleb Widogast Origins myself.
Gonna be honest, I haven't read them.
I know. They've been up on the shelf. I've read them.
I know.
I read them.
I'm bad at
the ones that we have. We don't have all of them. But I have read them. I enjoy them quite much. I'm not a big comic book reader.
I'm not either.
But we love a comic book movie. We love a comic book adaptation.
Indeed.
Really.
Indeed.
But again, it's a good time. I love it. I like that they're going all in on this.
And the final little bit here is that the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves merch is going to include D20s that transform into monsters.
The pictures on this are wonderful.
They're very high quality pictures. There are going to be 4 of options available: the red dragon, the black dragon, the owl bear, and the beholder. These are going to be called Dicelings.
The little dice.
Little Transformers or these toys appear to be more based on Transformers rather than Bakugan, which of course, as we remember, roly magnet things that pop up into monsters.
And as we discussed prior to the start of this podcast, a Bakugan style D20. Obviously, you would want an oversized D20 to get all the intricacies in. But if you were to roll a natural 20, having a magnet on the one side and then perhaps a special dice box that was lightly magnetic, so that when it landed, the magnetic hold would activate some kind of mechanism, much like the Bakugan, and then it would flip open. As the Bakugan do.
That'd be cool.
That would be very cool. And then you just got like a little beholder because you rolled a natural 20.
These 4 are going to be available for pre-order through Hasbro Pulse, which is their app, for $13.99 each, and they're expected to launch in spring of 2023.
The 4 that they have are the red dragon, the black dragon, the beholder, and the owl bear.
Owl bear.
And these things are fucking adorable. These are going to be great gifts for your D&D friend, lover, DM.
Your friend who is a D&D lover, or your D&D lover? The lover you have in D&D. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hey.
Yes and yes.
Fair.
These things are awesome. They don't really have a good representation for scale in terms of how big they are, because we have the oversized D20s that we rolled initiative for the draft with, and they are bigger than a standard D20, but they're still quite small. And I'm looking at these, and I'm looking at the intricacies of how clearly they will need to fold together to create a D20, and then unfold to create wings and eye stalks and legs and heads and all that kind of stuff. And I'm curious how oversized these are going to be, because clearly they're not going to be the size of a standard D20. That would be minuscule.
No. They do have small parts, so if you are a child under 3, be careful when you put them in your mouth.
Yeah. All children under 3 that are watching this podcast,
yes,
please.
Absolutely.
Careful when putting them in your mouth.
I'm looking at the product details right now, and I tell you, I have no idea.
No representation of scale. Sadly, it is not an Amazon listing where... for certain products, they show a shadow human holding them, so you have a reference for how big the box is relative to a humanoid figure.
Tim for scale.
Banana for scale.
So, N. Hale 93 asks, what are your overall expectations for this movie?
We talked about it when the Honor Among Thieves trailer came out, that there's one of 2 ways that you could go when making a D&D movie. You could take it seriously and live in the world and make it like a grittier thing and just try to set up a nice fantasy world. Mm-hmm. Or you could lean into D&D as the game and how it exists and how it plays, which is not necessarily the realities that are being presented in a setting.
Correct.
You're going to have a lot more goofiness. You're going to have a lot more like, you guys are in a coliseum and you're just fighting some iconic monsters, and that kind of energy is, I feel like, very clearly present in Honor Among Thieves, which I'm much pleased to hear about. You're going to have some serious themes. Obviously, you're going to have a villain. Mm-hmm. You're going to have, like, it seems like there's some politics in there, but with Chris Pine being the bard, as well as a druid, like you're going to get some weird shit. And I'm interested to see how it all weaves together. Yes. But if you go into it with the expectation of, I'm going to just have like a fun action romp comedy kind of like Marvel movie / like Uncharted, kind of just fucking around and having a good time, then I think you're going to be very pleased with that. Yes. You're going to be like Leonardo DiCaprio with the like pointing at the screen, being like, I know what that is. I know that's a mimic. I know that's a displacer beast. Ooh, he just cast fireball. So, yeah, we're if you watch the previews or the trailer, it is at least the trailer seems to be high quality. But as far as the story goes, we have a general outline, but man, do we know little. So our expectations are at this point, I don't think either of us is going in like this will be the cinematic move of the century. No, not at all. Not at all. No, just
go in and have fun. All right.
It's always a good time. Oh, time for the other news.
Yeah. Wrapping up.
Wrap up time. Game Informer has an exclusive look at Dungeons & Dragons Onslaught. I use the term exclusive lightly. It is clear that they got just a bit more in-depth access to some extra bits in addition to most of the images are effectively the same as the preview kit that we got from our trip to Gen Con earlier in the fall. They include some bigger monster miniatures, but the map is the same. The player character miniatures seem to be the same with a couple extra new ones. It seems like they depict some new scenarios, but it largely is the same. I'm interested to see if D&D Onslaught is going to just be that one board, or if it's going to have a couple of different board options. I feel like it could get a bit stale if it was the same board over and over again.
I mean, we know that they are going to have multiple scenarios and where you have different monsters and different objectives, even, it sounds like. But yeah, if it's just, it was an 8x8 throne room or a 10x10 little mini throne room. Yeah, doing that same dungeon room over and over. I mean,
different spawn points and different enemy locations and different sub objectives for victory.
And different,
could spice it up, but ideally, this board would be like double sided, and maybe two boards. So you have 4 total options, just to help spice things up. Even if it's just like effectively the same layout, but like a snow one or like a forest one, like just something to make it a bit different. And then obviously this opens them up to the ability to be like, here's D&D Onslaught expansion packs that come with a new map and a new faction and some more, and a couple new scenarios and that kind of stuff.
And we know they have a pretty aggressive seasonal layout or release schedule coming with this to keep up with tournament play and game store play. So yeah, I see it as a possibility.
Yes. If you have not experienced D&D Onslaught, it's a wonderful write-up. It's a quick read, some good images. D&D Onslaught, of course, set to release 2023. Date unspecific.
But we'll let you know when we know more. Right. Next up, Dungeons and Dragons is apparently banned in federal prisons.
Well, we got some satanic panic in the American judicial system.
Yeah, so apparently, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, or BOP, bans all D&D and role-playing games from being purchased by the inmates. Any rationale for this ban is unfortunately currently under redaction. So we don't have too much to go on, but we do know that the inmates are still secretly playing D&D.
That's so appropriate,
right? Still playing D&D in the prison basement. Hey, you got laundry duty today? I don't know how prisons work. I'm so sorry if they. But no, there are some accounts of people who did play or who knew people who played in prison, and it sounds like there's still a lot of it happening in prison. Mostly, actually, a lot of Pathfinder more so than 5th edition. People still play, and this prison staff and inmates kind of have an understanding between them that we won't fuck around and you won't find out. Basically, what little reasoning has been given is that it is a hierarchical form of play, where of course there's a dungeon master, running a table of people, and the prison officials cite that this could cause competition and lead to gang violence and activity.
Which to me just shows a complete and utter ignorance for what D&D actually is versus what they think it would be. Now, obviously, that's not to say you're going to sit down at a D&D table and you're not going to occasionally have some combativeness with a DM. And you want to avoid those situations in a prison setting where people tend to be a bit more prone to violence. The societal expectations of status quo are a lot different in prison than they are in general society. But I mean, if they're just playing D&D like most people play D&D, then like they're fucking dragons and like shooting a chandelier down on a swarm of rats,
right?
Or like just dumb shit.
The author of this article from Reason.com points out that D&D offers a chance that most people, most other activities in society don't give you, which is to play the heroes. But yeah, as currently in the United States, as it stands, there are court cases and laws that have been passed or determined saying that any D&D material is not usable. They have not. The books are not banned currently, I believe, but they can. But the play and the dice are illegal.
Yes, that's a shame. That's a shame and a bit unnecessary. It is what it is, though.
It is what it is.
And it ain't what it ain't.
It do be like that sometimes.
But we have another collaboration with Dungeons and Dragons and Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland. They've packed together over 300 pages of monsters and mayhem in Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons: The Complete Adventures, which seems to be a collection of comic book style stories in partnership with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, published by Oni Lion Forge Publishing. Morty's gonna be, weird at school, as he often is, and his grandpa Rick and him are going to, well, they're going to take D&D a little bit more seriously than the rest of us probably would. And if you have the Rick and Morty D&D crossover bundle set, which my brother got for me for Christmas one year, as he and I watched many a Rick and Morty episode together, it is a classic level 1 to 3 dungeon crawl with just a Rick being the dungeon master coat of paint over it for all like the description text and stuff. And as the players, you are role playing the characters from Rick and Morty, playing a ranger, playing a rogue, playing a fighter, playing a wizard, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
It looks like a fun thing. I don't really have that many Rick and Morty fans in my life, so that also play D&D. So, it's a little bit of that. But overall, it includes the original run, issues 1 through 4 of Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons, as well as Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons Painscape, as well as a brand new story from Jim Zub and Troy Little featuring Mr. Meeseeks conquering the Forgotten Realms. Do any of those words mean anything to you?
Not really. I'm not a Rick and Morty person.
It'd be like that.
It do be like that sometimes.
Just a fun little thing. Also, the bean is just taking a little bath right here, right in front of God and man. Anyway, last wrap-up item.
Last little bit. The Brothers War, the Magic the Gathering Brothers War, is scheduled for release on November 18th, with it coming to Magic the Gathering Arenas and Magic Online on the 15th. This is going to have they've confirmed a couple of mechanics, which include meld, where if you have two cards on that meld, which if you have two related cards on the field at the same time, they say in the description, you can exile those cards, flip them over, and now you have one big card.
Namely, the core two characters of the Brothers War, Urza and Mishra.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, there's going to be the prototype mechanic where instead of casting certain artifacts for their full mana cost, you can cast them for a lesser mana cost at a smaller size and different color. And then the Unearth mechanic is going to make another appearance in this set, as well as a token that first appeared in Dominaria United, I believe, with the Power Stones. Which are tokens that can be tapped to add colorless mana that cannot be used to cast non-artifact spells.
Point of order here, they do not sacrifice themselves like a treasure token would.
Correct.
And you can use that mana to do non-spell casting things, such as activating mana abilities or paying for costs of something associated with like heuristic study that an enemy is forcing you to pay mana to cancel a counter or cancel some other form of effect.
As of right now, you can pre-order things online or at your local game store, probably. The booster drafts are a little over $100, and the pre-release kits, which we are getting a couple of.
Yeah, we will each be getting one, and I also got one for our friend Darren, if he is not here in a timely manner, and allows us to finally open that set booster box of Innistrad Midnight Hunt, which I really want, because I want a Tovolar. As long as he comes over in a timely manner, it's his.
But those were, I believe, $35?
They were $35
from our local game store.
The pre-release kits are getting more and more expensive with every set they release, sadly. Due mostly in part to Wizards of the Coast being like, well, Magic the Gathering is exploding in popularity, and we could probably charge more for effectively the same product. Mm-hmm. You should expect the same kind of things. You're going to get your promo card, some special tokens associated with the set. You're going to get 6 booster packs, and most probably a spin down dice as well, and a nice little nifty box to put them in. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I love a pre-release. There's also some cool full art lands that are available that have some cool mechs in a foggy background of various locales, and some old framed artifacts from Magic's past that will be returning in both non-foil and foil. And I believe one is guaranteed in each pack as well. I believe the classic artifact.
Yes.
The retro frames.
Retro frames. And we're seeing some of those, more classic things also in retro frames for the first time. But yeah.
I'm excited. I love a card game release. Oh, and
of course,
the
Transformers cards, which originally released in an unset, I believe, are now coming as official playable cards.
Leverage that IP, I guess.
Yes, because Hasbro owns both Wizards of the Coast, who is the producers of Magic the Gathering, and they also own Transformers. So you'll have Optimus Prime, Soundwave, Megatron, and Megatron. I believe there's also one other card.
There's 15 cards.
15 cards, but those are some of the main ones that we will see in special art.
Obviously, you would want Optimus Prime. Yeah, even the dogs outside want Optimus Prime.
Or Megatron.
They might want Megatron. I'm not a big Transformers guy. There's also 2 Commander precons as well, surrounding Urza's army and Mishra's army from the titular Brothers War. Sadly, neither of those precons include forest of any kind. They are white, blue, black, and blue, black, red.
Yep.
Decks, which is a shame. Retailing for $47 something. Probably $50, honestly. Love a Magic set release. I'm working on several decks myself.
Yes, I have. I'm waiting for some cards in the mail, and also had to reorder some card sleeves.
Going to be ordering some and getting some new card sleeves as well, and probably going. You mentioned this, investing in some Commander staples to have multiple copies of your Soul Rings and the like, Command Tower,
Arcane Signet,
that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff. Newly minted Magic the Gathering fans ourselves.
Yeah, it's only been a few months now.
Very excited, and we've already spent a good deal of money on them.
I tallied it up the other night how much I personally have spent.
The proof.
We're not talking about it.
Yep. Do we have any recommendations in the TikTok Live for contributions to the draft, seeing as we are through the news of the week?
Nothing in the comments about the draft.
Then I will be adding in. Let's go with breakfast foods.
I like some breakfast foods.
Breakfast foods will be replacing fruit on the list. If you want to look at what the list originally looked like, there is a post up on Instagram, and we may update it at some point.
Who knows?
But
we're crazy. We don't know what we'll do.
something I probably should have addressed at the top of the show as well. We have our this month's free homebrew available now. The Paladin Oath of the Glorious. No, this is not a glory oath paladin. This is a cocky motherfucker. This guy, if you are familiar with the WWE, the professional wrestling world, one glorious Bobby Roode. This paladin is going to be... No one says it like that, by the way. This paladin is... No one. This paladin is an arrogant son of a bitch, and he gets his power from his own arrogance about himself. He's got a channel divinity to blind people around him with his own gloriousness. Has an aura that enables your allies to use the help action on you.
Yeah.
Which is
cool.
Hilarious. And he can, like, and at higher levels, when someone misses him with an attack, you can talk shit to them, make a reaction attack against them, and knock them prone. Possibly. So,
yeah,
check it out. It is Pay What You Want on DriveThruRPG. The link is in the link tree in the bio. In that link, you can also find our YouTube, our Instagram, our TikTok, where nearly 29,000 of you follow us on the TikToks. You can also find a link to join our amazing Discord community server where many people... I'm so losing track of the number of people. We're well over 250 people at this point.
Hell yeah.
Would love some more activity in the server. We've got many a text channel to have conversations, D&D and non-D&D related. You can ask us questions for the podcast that we will answer live on the podcast, as well as many game rooms for D&D. We have many people in the server that run games from time to time. We would love more people to run games. We have a lot of people that want to play games, not a lot of people that are willing to run games at the moment. So please check it out in the link tree in the bio of all of our social medias. But along those lines, we have a question in the podcast questions channel from Adironate.
Ooh, Adironate.
A name that I recognize has popped up in our TikTok chats before.
Yes.
Short, sweet, to the point. Would you like to see a Council of the Wyrms for 5th edition D&D? Sam, are you familiar with the Council of the Wyrms?
I am not familiar with the Council of the Wyrms.
Was a supplement released by TSR in Dungeons & Dragons as a setting in 1994, and then later as a box set in 1999. The premise includes it is rules and background material necessary for staging adventures with dragon player characters. Dragon color substitutes for race and class, with the addition of proficiencies such as chanting, looting, and religion, and a character kit including the Dragon Mage, the Dragon Priest, and the Dragon Psionicist. The whole premise here being many of the dragons are able to polymorph into humanoid forms, and in their humanoid forms, along with more powerful demigod level humanoids, they would be able to have relations in children. And what would those children be like? Dragon people. So kind of the original Dragonborn in many ways.
So yes, immediately yes. That sounds awesome.
It would pair very well with Fizzban's Treasury of Dragons. A lot of cool dragon options have come out for D&D in the last year or so. I think that sounds lovely.
It does. It sounds like a lot of fun.
I like the idea of offering player character options for playing. Of course, monstrous races is one thing, but like literal player options for monsters, I think would be fun.
I think that comes back. That's one of those things that we could come back to. The fact that that Wizards of the Coast doesn't really have a set release schedule. Well, as they put out things quarterly, we have seen a lack of just a player options book since really Tasha's, and before that Xanathar's. But there have been plenty of... They just throw out adventures, they throw out settings, they throw out monster manuals just all the time. But yeah, I'd love to see a Council of Wyrms. That sounds like a lot of cool options.
Does indeed. And of course, if you want to join us and have some questions read on the show, you can also join us in the TikTok live chat as we record the podcast live on TikTok. And I feel like we've been doing better about marking the events on the TikTok live.
Hell yeah.
On the TikTok. So if you watch our videos and you see a live event tag, you can follow it so you can be notified when we go live.
Yeah.
Sam, what questions do we have in the TikTok chat?
IR Frankop83, or IR Frankop33, anyway, says, what is your all-time favorite D&D monster?
Wow. That is a broad question. That's a difficult question. Now, If it were creature type, I know what your answer would be.
Mm-hmm.
The ooze, obviously.
Yes.
It's for individual monster. Obviously, there's the popular ones. The beholder.
Sure.
The dragon.
Yeah.
The lich.
Mm-hmm.
Very well known, very popular options. The demogorgon. This might be a bit of a deep cut
Okay.
for some. And while technically not a singular monster, the Sorrowsworn.
You are a fan of the Sorrowsworn.
I have talked of the Sorrowsworn before, but the idea of these just like mutilated, tested and created beings that embody some of the core like fear emotions we have of not wanting to be alone, so they run up to you and want to hold on to you so tightly that they pierce you with their pointy arms in an attempt to hold on to you forever, is terrifying. Wonderful options. I've used them in a homebrew game before myself. Very big fan of the Sorrowsworn. I love a humanoid. I prefer a humanoid to a monstrous form for enemies in many respects. The Sorrowsworn are humanoid, but monsters in and of themselves. So I'm not just running kobolds or bandits or humanoid NPCs in and of themselves.
Very good. I would say mine, and this is probably considered an offside weird one, but it's one of the gemstone dragons, but not the gemstone dragons from Fizbins. It's the gemstone dragons from Matt Colville's Strongholds and Followers, which was released like 2 years before Fizbins. But it is the Topaz Dragon.
The Topaz Dragon.
The Topaz Dragon in the art style that MCDM used in there, and one of the things MCDM does that I like is they intersperse a little story that's going on throughout like their monster manual, and the Topaz Dragon Wormling that they put in there I've actually used in one of my games, and it's a very fun character to play, and I enjoy it very much.
What kind of breath weapon does the Topaz Dragon have?
I don't know off the top of my head.
And your favorite?
Yeah, he doesn't. It's a Wormling. He's a Wormling. He is a Wormling.
A council.
A Wormling demiplane guide. He is a guide to a giant library on a demiplane.
Interesting. So yes, the Topaz Dragon and the Sorrowsworn. Probably not exactly what people were expecting, but there you go.
Suck it, people.
Yeah, suck it.
Other than that, Enhale popped in a couple of times and say the dragon fruit tastes like a muted kiwi.
The kiwi. The tomato.
Yeah.
Why
the classic D&D fruit for comparing different abilities?
Neither of us went for the meme option of the tomato. I feel like toward the end of our drafts, we usually go like an off-the-wall thing. Ours were very just like straightforward value across the board for the fruit draft.
Guess we just straight up enjoy fruit.
Wow.
We were so in-depth about our fruit enjoyment.
Damn. In hindsight, I might have wanted to take the tomato, but here we are. Tomato, not on the list.
No. But the last thing Enhale said was Magic the Gathering pre-release promos have dropped in qualities in recent years.
Yeah.
And I've heard that about a lot of different MTG products throughout the years, all the way from foils to the pre-release stuff. And then, of course, there was the whole 30th anniversary.
That's ridiculous. $1,000 set of 4 boosters for proxies.
Yes.
It's
that
not
you
even
had a random chance to get the cool cards you might want.
It's not $1,000 for a set of cards. It is $1,000 for 4 packs of cards and a chance at cards from a set that could be fucking worthless and probably is.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of that.
No.
Not a fan of that maneuver at all. I purchased for us on, I believe it was the last live that we did for the podcast. Maybe the one before.
Either the last one, the one before.
The D&D set pre-release kits. I got some on eBay for us. And I got the Book of Vile Darkness promo card. Do you remember what promo card you got?
I believe it was some sort of Sahagin. Or some sort of merfolk.
Merfolk of some kind. Yes.
It was not it was like a 7-cent foil.
Yeah. The Book of Vile Darkness was more than like a bulk common, obviously, but not super valuable. Neat effect as an artifact, and it's neat that you can combine it if you have the Hand of Vecna and the Eye of Vecna artifacts as well. That is a difficult kind of play set to get onto the battlefield and play.
It would be a very thematic, very probably lower power deck.
Yeah, for sure. Which is a shame because the card art is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a bit of a shame that the promo cards are not as cool. I don't know what the promos are going to be included in Our Brothers War kits.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's a good one.
We'll see. I look forward to opening those.
I am too.
In the near future.
By the time we record the next podcast, we will have purchased them, received them, and
fought the store employees
and
for the right to party.
Completely eviscerated them for their contents.
Eaten them.
Yep. Is that all we got, Sam?
That's all we got in the TikTok chat.
Wow, this is a quick one. A little over an hour.
That's okay.
That is okay too.
We've gone long on a couple here in recent months.
In the coming future, I've shot a couple of YouTube videos. I need to continue shooting one of them quite a bit. One of them I basically have all the on-camera stuff shot. Would love to get that out in the relatively near future, hopefully before the end of the month. We have a couple people in talks to show up as guests for bonus episodes of the podcast. We also have a personal friend and friend of the show and fellow creator, not a TikTok creator, a YouTuber, wanting to come on and chat once they release the next 1D&D playtest, which will be a very exciting podcast. That'll probably be a chonk one.
Oh yeah,
that'll be a big chonk one. But that's all we got this week.
That's all we got.
And of course, Linktree in the bio. You can follow us on the TikTok, subscribe to us on the YouTube, follow us on the Instagram. That's Sam Runs. That's how you're going to vote on the draft. The draft, of course, being fruits this week. Sam's team, the banana, the watermelon, the lime, the grape, the raspberry. My team, of course, the strawberry, apple, lemon, orange, and the cherry. Currently, the running total is Sam in the lead, 2-1 on drafts so far. I think it's a crock of shit. I should be leading 2-1.
Keep voting for me, folks.
I fully accept that I should have lost the band one.
Fair enough.
And I'm okay with that. Should not have lost the board game one. I had the better lineup. That's just how it is. But he played to the audience that we have on the Instagram, which is new age board gamers. So he picked a lot of new age board games.
Anyway,
with all that being said, join us in the Discord server. Find us on the TikTok lives. We love doing live things for the podcast. If you have any inquiries, bring it up with the moon.
Yes.
I forced the bean to come nap with us instead of under the table.
Yeah, and
earlier, and she's been quite adorable and well behaved.
Probably go get that lump on the back of your neck checked out.
Yeah, that is true. And if you play any Mariah Carey song in the next 3 weeks, we're gonna sick the Beholder dice on you.
Diceling, sorry, the Beholder Diceling on you. But not one, no. 75.
A small army.
Yes. A veritable force.
Not toppling nations, but towns for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Much like that cult in Far Cry 5, a game I have never played.
Oh, then, well, very good. With all that being said, we love you very much. We'll see you in the future.
In the meantime, peace